Welcome in, everybody, to Betting Pros. It's time to place your bets. It is me, Joey P, Joe Pisapia, and this is BP NFL. It's time to look ahead to Week 9 in the NFL. We still got Monday Night Football left. Follow us on social media for my picks from Monday Night Football. There's an under, there's an over, and a parlay. All the things you could possibly want in a Monday night, and of course, all the things I could possibly want in a co-host. Andrew Erickson, the Undertaker himself, is here for our look ahead to Week 9 in the NFL, a fun Week 8. Lots of games in the 1 o'clock hour coming down to the very end. It just feels like Jaden Daniels has that magic in him, doesn't he?
Well, he's got the magic to make the Bears defensive backs talk smack to the coaches or to the fans in Washington, so they're not paying attention. And then, it just seems like this is the team of destiny. Is that the way to put it? It seems like a team that's going to be, a team that's going to make I don't want to say a run in the postseason, but I think do a lot more than obviously exceeding expectations with what Jaden Daniels has been able to do. But I mean, this team looks like they have a chance to really win the division. It really looks like a two-man race between them and the Philadelphia Eagles after our Dallas Cowboys came just short last night.
Oh, God. Don't even talk to me. Look, again, I missed out on a huge betting day because of them and that stupid upset special that they should have held on to. Mason gets hurt. They have all these opportunities. They're up at halftime. I don't even want to talk about them. I want to talk about Cedric Tillman and that over that we were talking about. I want to talk about Rashad White hitting that over on the receptions. I want to talk about the parlay I had with him scoring the touchdown on top of it. It was a good day. I'm not going to let the Cowboys bother me. And it was a good day for our Patriots. Little Pat the Patriot here on the YouTube channel today because somehow they beat the Jets. Oh, what a time it is. But Jet fans, don't worry. There's a whole new week ahead of us of football.
We don't have to wait that long to see the Jets. Just a couple more days?
That's a couple more days. I'm sure they're loving that concept. We'll get to that game and all the rest of them too. But first, signed Michael Strahan jersey is up for grabs. If you want a chance to win the signed Michael Strahan jersey from our good friends at pristineauction.com for free, all you need to do is head to bettingpros.com/contest, complete the form, either download the Betting Pros app, leave a review of the Betting Pros podcast, or subscribe to our social media channels at Betting Pros on X, on TikTok, and at Betting Pros NFL on the Instagram. The more actions you complete, the more entries you'll receive, and we'll be announcing the winner right here on this channel. So subscribe to the Betting Pros YouTube, ring the bell till it goes ding for notifications, so you never miss an episode of BP NFL, and you never miss an opportunity to know if you are the big winner of the Michael Strahan jersey. All right, let's start with Thursday Night Football. The New York Jets 2-6 taking on the Houston Texans. Now Houston, most likely, again, this is early Monday, not going to have Stephon Diggs. They're not going to have Nico Collins. So they're definitely hurting here. There's opportunity for the Jets. It's practically a pick 'em. Houston is -1 right now on BP. 42.5 is the number for the over-under, and you're basically getting -110 in both markets for just the pick 'em. So, Andrew, who do you want to pick in this game?
Not the Jets. Is that such a bold strategy?
I don't think so.
Where I don't think it is. Don't want to bet on the Jets. I mean, they just lost to the Patriots. Our Patriots. They just lost to
our miserable Patriots.
I get the Jets are playing at home. Maybe they need Sam Darnold seeing ghosts. Maybe they need to bring him back because I don't see how this team turns it around. They're screaming for a team that they're due, man. They're so due for a win eventually, but I feel like the market has been saying that the last 2 weeks with the New York Jets, and they flopped in back-to-back games. So I get the Texans are a little undermanned here, but I think also you can find them. I'm looking right now at the most updated lines. I'm seeing on DraftKings Sportsbook +1. So really is a pick 'em depending on where you're looking. Mm-hmm. I think my opening lean was just give me the Texans to win.
Yeah, I'm with you. The Texans as well for me here. Keeping it simple, I think that Texans defense will do enough. Joe Mixon looking really strong running the football too. And the Jets look like a team in disarray. The leadership is gone. The head coach is gone. This is a team that was 4-4 last year, and now they're 2-6.
Yeah, a lot. They were way out of sync against the Patriots, penalty after penalty.
And they can't kick field goals or extra points or anything like that too.
Zerline is an absolute disaster for their kicker. When is their bye week? They need their bye week. Why they didn't take a bye week after going to London, I have no idea.
It feels like I feel like every week has been a bye week for them. I will say this too. I would shade the under in this game too because of the problems with the kicking game too. You know, that's the stuff that shows up in some of those unders too. Dallas, boo. Against the Atlanta Falcons at 5-3, Dallas is 3-3. Atlanta home 2.5-point favorites. That feels right to me. 48.5 is the number for this one. Plus 115 for the Cowboys on the money line. Andrew, I'll be honest with you. Everything feels right on this one for me. So I'm just going to look for the props in this game because of game perspective for me. I think this is just about right, but maybe you feel differently.
No, the lines pretty much aligned with what I was looking at when I was doing my earlier projections earlier this week or early on Monday morning. So yeah, I don't really have a play on it. So looking forward to see if the market moves it. We could look up on Sunday morning and the lines could be exactly the same because they might just be right. And I think right now it is.
All right, next one here, the team of destiny, this year's Cinderella, the Washington Commanders, who are fun. They're fun. Like if you love football and you don't enjoy this run that they're on, then you have no soul. I mean, come on. Like they're a fun team. Jaden Daniels is exciting to watch. Dan Quinn is a good football coach. And I've said this too in a lot of the offseason shows. I said, sometimes we give those good football coaches a second chance at head coaching job. Good things happen most of the time. And it looks like that's happening in Washington. They're 6-2, taking on the Giants. Now the Giants are going to come off a game against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Short week. They are 3.5-point underdogs. I think the Steelers are going to kick the crap out of them tonight, personally. But again, we'll see what happens. Washington, I think I would jump on this 3.5 now because I do think this is going to go to 4 or even 4.5 potentially over the week ahead. 44 is the number here, plus 150 for the Giants on the money line. I just think Daniels and company here are going to be too much for the New York Giants. I know in-division games are tricky sometimes. I think Washington just has all of the momentum right now, and that is huge at this juncture in the season.
I agree. I think you got to jump on. If you can find a Washington -3 right now, I think that line's going to move. In what range or in what reality are we going to watch the Giants play the Steelers and then the next day be, man, I want to bet on the Giants? I cannot wait.
I mean, I don't know even if they won, it wouldn't make me want to bet on the Giants.
That's what I mean. I don't
think
if
they win, this line doesn't move. Like,
exactly.
I don't think if they could beat this, it was like, well, maybe we'll move that 3.5 to 3. No, I don't think so. I don't think it moves. So
with all the injuries the Giants have on their offensive line, I don't think their offense is going to look good. Again, they beat the Steelers if it's a defensive struggle because the Giants' defense has been pretty good the last couple of weeks. That's how they win, but I don't think you're going to look at the offense and say, man, Daniel Jones looked great against the Pittsburgh Steelers defense. I don't think that happens. So, yeah, jump on Washington now.
All right. And speaking of those, line movement potentials, again, that's why you have the BP app, right? You have the custom line alerts. You get a free trial BettingPros Premium right now by downloading the app, and you can use the tools, and one of those tools is the custom line alert. So set it if you're waiting for this or any line to move potentially, and then you could jump on it or whatever house you want to bet it on. So many perks over there using the BettingPros tools. If you haven't already, download the app on iOS and on Android. Let's get to the next game on our list here. The Los Angeles Chargers, 4-3, taking on the Cleveland Browns. Go Cedric Tillman. I love it, scoring touchdowns. Well, I think he went over that 38.5. I think he cleared it. That was pretty good. Winston has reckless abandon. It doesn't matter who they play. This is going to be a lot like Joe Flacco last year, where all of a sudden now the Browns are just not going to be out of it because it doesn't matter how many picks he throws. It doesn't matter how ugly it looks. Jameis Winston's going to get out there and he's going to throw the football again. And that's good news for this offense. We were, to your credit too, you were the one on the Browns last week, and boy, oh boy, they didn't just cover. They had the upset there. Unbelievable. So now the Los Angeles Chargers, 2.5-point road favorites. Don't love the Chargers as a road favorite. I'm not going to lie. 39.5 is the number for the over-under, plus 114 for Cleveland. I like the points with Cleveland here at plus 2.5, Erickson. What do you think?
Why are the Browns not favorites? Tell me that, Joe.
You know what?
There you go.
I can't give you a good reason. I just can't.
There you go. I have made one bet against the spread heading into this week, and it was on the Browns. Plus 2.5. They should be favored. They're playing at home. I know they have a couple injuries on defense. Denzel Ward, Jeremiah Musa-Kamara. That's an issue because those guys are both key defensive players. But still, this Browns team is alive because they have a quarterback that they actually believe in. During the offseason, the rhetoric out of Browns camp was Jameis Winston is viewed as this team's leader. That's not Deshaun Watson. They have their guy quarterback. And I think you made a great comparison, Joe Flacco last year, and they went on a hot streak.
Yeah.
People looked at the Browns heading into this season as, I think this team has a Super Bowl roster if they can get quarterback right. They may have just gotten their quarterback right. So right now, again, if you weren't on the Browns last week, it's not too late. Hop on the bandwagon, baby. Let's go.
As Winston said so eloquently before the game yesterday, we play for the names on the back of our jersey and the names on the side of our helmet, except for there's no logo on the side of the Browns helmet.
Not yet.
God, I love Jameis Winston. You got to love that guy. He's good television at the end of the day. All right, let's get to the Miami Dolphins and the Buffalo Bills. The Dolphins. Oh, my God, the Miami Dolphins. What are you doing here? again, Tua had to shake some dust off, some rust. Of course, he hasn't played in a while. He had some good moments in this game. Miami Dolphins are a train wreck. They're 2-5. I'm out. I'm done. Buffalo's 6.5-point favorites. It feels right to me, but I don't want to touch it anyway. 48.5 is the number. Plus 240 Miami. You could take that and shove it because I'm not touching them to upset the Buffalo Bills. The Buffalo Bills kicked the ever-loving crap out of the Seattle Seahawks yesterday. This was like a TKO in the first round, Erickson, this game. So maybe I should just go on the Buffalo Bills 6.5. It's a little much for me at minus 110. I mean, if you really just want to go in, maybe you tease this one up to 8.5 or something like that and just get a better plus money number on it if you think that there's going to be another epic butt kicking here. And it's very possible that it is at this point. What are your thoughts on Bills Dolphins? Oh, Dolphins.
I think I like the under. It's at 48.5. I know the Dolphins are explosive, but the Bills, that's not really their MO. I mean, they still want to run the football. The Dolphins defense, I think, is a little fugazi in terms of who they've played.
Agreed.
And that's why their numbers are pretty good. And when they play legitimate competition, they haven't played nearly as well. So I think if I'm picking a side, I'm probably just going to lay the points with Buffalo just because they have been, they beat up on bad teams. And what's been Miami's Achilles heel is they can't beat good teams. So that's why their numbers look good against bad teams. So I think I'm going to do more research on this game, but I think initially, I lean towards the under at 48.5. The Bills are playing at home. I don't know what the weather's going to be like. Maybe a little bit colder for the Dolphins, and we know the Dolphins usually don't play that well away from home.
They don't play. You could just stop that. They usually don't play that well. Period.
Period.
Like that's it. I've had it with them too. Halfway through the season, sometimes it takes. Erickson had some issues there with the Carolina Panthers. I've had my issues with the Dolphins. Keep waiting for them to show up against in matchups where they have opportunities to win games against the Colts, against the Arizona Cardinals, and they just fold. It is sickening. Sorry, Dolphins fans. I know it's been a rough go. Could be worse. You could be a Jets fan. At least you know your quarterback is theoretically next year. That's all I can tell you. Like at least you got that. And your head coach, I think. Although it could get dicey. The New Orleans Saints and your Carolina Panthers, Andrew Erickson. The Panthers are now 1-7. Bryce Young is back, and yeah, New Orleans might get Derek Carr back for this game, so that's why I think you see the line where it is minus 6.5 for the traveling New Orleans Saints. 45 is the number, plus 250 on the money line for the Carolina Panthers. So this is a game where I am going directly to Alvin Kamara props. Like that's where I'm going. They're so bad against the run. That's what I want to do, and then maybe some Derek Carr props if they're low because it's his first game back, and see what those numbers are. But in terms of the game itself, again, it feels right. I mean, I'm leaning towards the 6.5 here for the New Orleans Saints, but I think the better thing to do is take my favorite prop, put it with the Saints on the money line and those two combination things together and get some decent plus money. To me, that's probably the best approach in this game, not just betting the game outright. But Andrew, what are your thoughts on this one?
Under. Derek Carr coming off a bunch of missed games. He's playing on the road. You have a dome team. He still doesn't have all of his weapons. When Derek Carr was at his best, he had Rashid Shaheed. He's gone. So we've seen this offense take a major step back since they've had all the injuries across the offensive line. I know they've gotten some guys back, but I'm still very skeptical about if Derek Carr is going to come out guns blazing, firing on all cylinders after so much time missed. Carolina, again, the team's not good, but we know their offense can't score points. So unless the New Orleans Saints are going to put up 40, which I believe they did the first time these teams played, but that was a different Derek Carr. That was when the offense for the Saints was actually exciting, and they've taken a major step back since that time. So I'm going to take the under on the road.
All right. The streaking New England Patriots. Can I see that? Is one win enough for a streak? They're 2-6. They're going to head to Tennessee. Who knows? Could be 2 in a row. They probably will be without Drake May, though. Drake May sustaining a concussion in that game, so it's very rare you get a guy to clear the protocol within a week. We'll see what happens. But alas, the Tennessee Titans at home are 3-point favorites. I don't know. I kind of struggle with that one. 37.5 is the number for this one. Plus 130 for the New England Patriots. I think you either go Patriots money line to get the plus money, or you just play it safe and bet the under 37.5. Your thoughts, Erickson?
Patriots money line for me. Look, I'm a Patriots fan, so I usually root for them anyway. And when I see a betting opportunity that aligns with my fandom, I mean, the Titans, am I going to root for the Titans to cover a 3-point spread because they're playing at home? When I looked at this game, who should be favored here? I guess Tennessee because they're playing at home because, oh no, the big Tennessee Titans playing at home. You can't score on this defense. I'll just take the Patriots. My parents are actually flying down to Tennessee to go to this game. So they're going to be invested in it. I want to be invested in watching. So I'm going to take the Pats plus 3.
That's interesting. So tickets are readily available, which means, who knows? what that crowd might be
They're
like.
they're not expensive in Nashville.
They're not expensive, but they're available, which means, like I think the 1-6 Tennessee Titans kind of are, there's teams at this juncture halfway through the season that are, checking their passports for the offseason, making travel plans. Titans, I think you could put them in the bucket. The Carolina Panthers clearly are in the bucket. The Jets, why not in the bucket at this point? They're a 2-win team. And they're looking up at the Buffalo Bills in that division. They're never going to catch them. That's not going to happen. So I think that we've already seen some teams that have folded up the tents and going. So, just bet accordingly. The Las Vegas Raiders are close to that. They're right on that edge too, where the Jets are. They're going to be taking on the Cincinnati Bengals, coming off a tough home loss there. Cincinnati started off pretty well, and then that defense just, again, plays like that defense. The Cincinnati Bengals frustration for me, Andrew, is, we got to fix the offensive line. And once we do that, we'll be okay. And as soon as they do that, all of a sudden they let the Jesse Bateses of the world go and all those, great players in the safety position go. And next thing now our, defensive backfield is terrible. They can't seem to find annually something that, like, it's just good. Everything is always in flux with them, and it just shows up. And that's why they're a 3-5 football team. But at home, they're an 8.5 point favorite over the Raiders. 8.5. 45 is the number, plus 300. Is 8.5 too much? Respect for the Bengals.
This one is so tough because, preseason, right, it was really high on the Bengals because they had a really easy schedule. So anytime I see these lines, it's always, man, why do these teams keep favoring the Bengals so much? But it's because they keep having favorable matchups, even though they keep losing all these games. So you go to the next week, the Raiders, they have to be favored by at least a touchdown and playing at home, but they haven't covered these games traditionally this year. But the one thing I will say, Joe Burrow, I don't know what the exact number is, but it's 16-5, 16-6 against the spread after a loss. So Burrow does usually get the troops together. They should get T. Higgins back. I think that matters. So, yeah, I know it's gross to lay that many points with the Bengals after they just had a disastrous game against the Philadelphia Eagles. But the Raiders, gutsy performance last week. They covered. I loved it. It was a big win for me. I don't think they do it again. Not against the Bengals. So I'm going to take the
on the
Bengals
road
here.
is tough too. If anything, honestly, the 45, I would take the over. Like, that might be the good one here because I'm pretty confident Cincinnati is going to put up points, and I'm pretty confident that defense is going to give the Raiders more opportunities than they should have. So if the Raiders just, make the most of a couple of those opportunities, this could potentially go over there. Denver and Baltimore. Baltimore again, Baltimore is going to be looking at the end of this regular season and go, man, if we could have just handled our business a little bit better. Too many drops in this game. They had that home loss to the Raiders early in the year, and then this game too, which was in their grasp, literally with Kyle Hamilton in their grasp at times too. But the drop passes all over the place, very frustrating. I thought they got away from the run too quickly there, but they find themselves taking on another 5-3 team, the Denver Broncos. Now they are 8.5 point favorites at home. 44.5 is the number for this one. Plus 360 for Denver on the money line. Can the Denver Broncos keep this one close, Andrew?
I think so. I think that they are going to be able to cover the spread. Baltimore plays with its food. They don't take care of bad competition, and that is the Denver Broncos, who have shown on the road multiple times this season. They go out on the road, and they're competitive. So, no, I don't think that Bo Nix is going to – I think the Baltimore wins this game. I don't think they're going to drop 2 in a row to inferior opponents, but Bo Nix looked really great. Again, he was playing the Panthers last week, but you can see he's building confidence in this offense with Sean Payton. So, I don't know why Sean Payton was trying to run up the score against the Carolina Panthers, which absolutely destroyed my Bo Nix under on his pass attempts because they kept throwing inside the fourth quarter up by multiple touchdowns. But, whatever. So I actually do like I like the Broncos here just to cover this massive spread.
All right, let's get to the next one on this. This is a really tricky game here. Arizona Cardinals 4-4 hosting the Chicago Bears 4-3. Basically a pick 'em. You got -1 on Arizona, +1 over on Chicago at -115. 44.5 is the over/under, and then Chicago on the money line -105. Arizona on the money line -115. So again, Caleb, for all the good that he did the last couple weeks, they had the bye. You expected to come out like gangbusters. They didn't look great offensively. Swift has been solid. Again, I think this is another one where I'm looking for props. Is the Marvin Harrison, what we saw with Kyler Murray an illusion, or is this now the new trend in the second half of the season? I don't know. These are two teams that I find weekly very difficult to get a gauge on, and when they play each other, I kind of want nothing to it. So I'm going to look to the over on the 44.5. I think that's the best way to approach this one. What do you think?
I agree. I like the over. Arizona usually shades towards the over when they play at home, and I want to We talked about this last week when Furman was on the under in the Bears-Commanders game, and this was before we didn't know if Jane Daniels was going to play or not. We talked about how going up against Cliff Kingsbury, even though he's the offensive coordinator for the Commanders, that's going to cause issues for Caleb Williams because he's going to be able to tell Dan Quinn how to run his defense against Caleb Williams. And we saw it with Kyler Murray a couple weeks back when he basically did nothing against the Commanders defense. So I think you get a bounce back effort here from the Bears a little bit. I think that Caleb Williams was trying to do so much in that matchup. I think that he plays better. You see a better performance from the receivers for Chicago. So I do like the over here as well.
Jacksonville at Philadelphia, Philly 5-2 now, so they are getting back into a groove. Playing against Jacksonville, man, I love Jalen Hurts to score. I love AJ Brown to score anytime touchdowns. Like I'm gonna be anytime touchdown in the hell out of this game. They are 7-point favorites at home. 47.5 is the number, plus 280. Christian Kirk is going to be out for the year, so it's another piece they've lost. So really it comes down to individuals for this game and whether or not you think the 7 is appropriate. So is this a blowout of the Jaguars for the Eagles at home, Andrew?
I think so, and maybe this is Doug Peterson's way out. But by the former team that he won a Super Bowl with, the Philadelphia Eagles.
Full circle.
And
it's a very
the Doug
King
Peterson
nice.
tenure in Jacksonville. Look, the Jaguars, not just Christian Kirk, all the receivers are banged up. Brian Thomas got hurt last week. Gabe Davis got hurt last week. So they're going to be severely undermanned. AJ Brown against man coverage, man. That's all you need to know. He's going to absolutely toast the Jacksonville Jaguars defense. So I am with you with all the overs on the AJ Brown props. I'm going to be tailing those. So for me, yeah, I think you're going to get the Eagles now before we get more news about Jaguars potentially missing receivers, missing weapons, playing on the road in Philly. This just seems like a disaster waiting to happen for the Jaguars.
Okay. It could be a disaster for the Packers. They were at home. They're 3.5-point underdogs against the Lions, who put up I think it's safe to say the Lions covered. The Lions covered fourfourfold.
They covered and then some. They covered, then they covered again.
Then they covered again, and then they might have even covered again. It was crazy on the 11 that they had. But look, Jordan Love, obviously that injury is huge. I don't think this number is enough. Like I'm taking Detroit with the 3.5 here. I know it's on the road. I don't care. The weather's not going to be bad. So Goff, outdoors and the cold is more of an issue for me. It's not going to be, snowing in Green Bay this weekend. The 48.5 is the number, plus 154 for the Packers on the money line. Look, if Willis is playing, to me, I think this line is just not enough right now. What do you think? And in terms of line movement, it feels like one that you've seen already move up to 4 in some markets, and it could continue to grow. I want to lock this one in early.
Yeah, this one, I think right now, if you want to back the Lions, you got to do it right now, because I don't think we're going to get any positive news about Jordan Love. I do think the how tight this line does give credit to the Packers and how well they were able to prepare with Malik Willis in the last games. And it's just giving credit to this is a divisional game. LaFleur is a great head coach, and he's been able to win games without Jordan Love this season. And the Lions are playing on the road. This is their first outdoors game this year. So I know that it's easy to point and say, well, if it's as long as the weather's not, it still matters. Again, we talk about Jared Goff, indoor cat. So that's the only hesitance I have about Detroit. I will say, though, like you said, if you want to bet Lions, bet them now, because the line's just going to get bigger. So I think maybe later in the week, if Green Bay's plus 7.5, I mean, what if this goes, it's going to go to double digits if it's Malik Willis and everyone is pouring money on the Lions? Look, a double digit underdogs last week at home, 2-0, baby. So if the Packers fall into that range, I'm going to be taking Green Bay, but right now I think the Lions is definitely the move to make.
This next one I think is just flat out wrong. It's the Rams 3-4 traveling to Seattle 4-4, and it is the Seattle Seahawks minus 1.5 point favorites at home. Sam Darnold, we'll talk about him and some of the other quarterback plays that we've seen this year coming up in the next game. But I want to talk about Matthew Stafford, who obviously has struggled this year, right? But you have a situation here where now Matthew Stafford was QB5 in fantasy last week. Matthew Stafford has Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua back. He threw for 4 touchdowns and almost 300 yards. If there's one guy that I think is going to go over 300 yards this week passing, it's Matthew Stafford against the Seattle Seahawks, because that defense is not good. And you just saw them get destroyed by the Buffalo Bills. So give me the Rams, give me all the overs and the individual guys there. I think the Rams on the money line, even money, 48.5 is the number. Give me the Rams even money line right now. I could even see this game flipping over time as it gets bet. I've already locked this in at BettingPros.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. That was the other bet that I made against the spread. It was the Browns and the Rams because I wasn't convinced that the Seahawks should be favorites here. I get that
No.
they're playing at home, but home field advantage for the most part is kind of overrated. Now, again, if we get a rainy Seattle game, kind of like what we saw against the Bills, maybe that changes the equation a little bit. But as of right now, the Rams are the better team, especially with all their receivers healthy. And Geno Smith, I know Seattle's very up and down, not been a consistent team this season. But what's happened is when they've played superior competition, kind of like the Dolphins, they've kind of fall flat on their face. And that's why I think, backing the Rams, because the Rams, I think, realized they went from sellers at the trade deadline to we're buying now because we have our guys back. We won the game against the Vikings. Can we make a run? We're 3-4. Now is the time. So again, wait, I was actually looking at something too. Who is at first place in the NFC West right now, Joe? Who's at first place?
Who is it, Andrew?
I believe it's the Arizona Cardinals in first place in the NFC West. As crazy as that sounds, I'm not sure how it happened, but here we are.
I think the 49ers know how that's happened. Another tool you should be using too, by the way, on the BettingPros app is the BettingPros Systems. The BettingPros Systems tool is designed to help you find winning strategies, make smarter bets. You can customize the betting systems by sport, bet type, and time frame to find the best opportunities using real-time data and expert analysis. You could track the performance of different betting systems over time and optimize your bets to increase your chances of success. Download the Betting Pros app today on iOS, on Android, and start elevating your betting strategies and start making smarter bets. All right, a couple games left for week 9 to talk about here. Next one on the list is the Indianapolis Colts at Minnesota Vikings. Minnesota dropping some games now. That's 2 in a row. They have the Colts. Anthony Richardson, obviously, just a struggle bus right now. That team is 4-4. 6.5. That's where the Vikings are in terms of this number, in terms of being favorites. 45.5 is the number, plus 260. So Darnold gets a better matchup here for this game. I want to talk about him for a second too. I mentioned like some of these quarterback plays here in these last couple of games kind of matter. Darnold still finding Justin Jefferson. Obviously last week disappointing with that bad call, but again, you don't want to put yourself in that position to have to make those kind of drives anyway. So can Minnesota get back on track here, or 6.5 too much?
I think it's a little much. I don't like laying that many points with Sam Darnold necessarily. I know he was great to start the year, but now it's kind of coming back to earth. He still makes a lot of boneheaded decisions, like 1 or 2 a game where you're like, oh, what are you doing, man? Like he's showcasing what he used to do like with some of these other teams, even though he's been, I think, relatively good and obviously exceeding expectations. From the Colts side, Anthony Richardson, yes, the box score, if you just look at it, I mean, 10 for 32? Absolutely atrocious. But and if I had to defend Anthony Richardson, he did have a lot of good throws that his receivers left him hanging, that they didn't catch. He had a wide open touchdown to Tyler Goodson in the end zone, totally dropped it. So I'm not saying Richardson's not at fault, but his receivers didn't help him out on a lot of plays, except for Josh Downs. Josh Downs was making plays left and right. So I'm going to actually just go with the under here, because you have Richardson, who's already been struggling in better matchups, and now he's facing Brian Flores, who's going to throw everything that he can at Anthony Richardson. So I'm not expecting any type of passing success with this Colts offense. And the Vikings, they have Darnold, they have Jefferson, but are they going to score 35 points all on their own? Maybe not. So I like the under at 46.
This last one I definitely have a strong feeling about too. It is Monday night football. You have the Kansas City Chiefs 7-0 at home against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, 4-4. They are 9-point favorites, the Kansas City Chiefs at home. I will be on the Tampa side of this game. I think 9 is a lot for the Kansas City Chiefs. As good as that defense is, Baker Mayfield as an underdog is dangerous. That's it. 44.5 is the number, plus 330. I know Tampa's missing a lot of pieces, and I know that's the narrative, but it feels like, again, 9 is just too big of a number when it comes to Kansas City, even in their own building at this point. I'm just not there and comfortable with it. Andrew, do you share my sentiment, or do you think Kansas City smashes?
No, I think Tampa Bay's the play here. Plus 9.5. That seems that seems like it would be if the Chiefs were playing a backup quarterback. They're playing Baker Mayfield, right? And Baker Mayfield, if you look at his record, especially against the spread as a road underdog, it's really strong. So I think Baker here. I projected this closer to Kansas City's minus 6.5. The Chiefs didn't cover against the Raiders last week. They're not a team that blows out other teams.
Right.
We've learned about this. It's a team that wants to play defense. They do enough on offense to win the game. They don't care about covering spreads. They don't care about stats. All they care about is that they're undefeated and they're going to win this game, but they're not going to cover.
Well, they're a great football team in terms of defense, in terms of quarterback who can make big plays in big moments, and a great head coach and a great defensive coach too. That equates to good NFL football. It doesn't always equate to prolific stats right now, the way things are structured. And you're seeing that. It was good to see a good game out of Kelsey. Again, it was against the Raiders. So I don't
National tight ends day. They had to feature him.
Well, I mean, every tight end, even
it was fun.
The Brock Wrights and, guys that you never even hear about all of a sudden were getting touchdowns yesterday. It was a wacky week 8, hopefully week 9 will stabilize a little bit. I think we have a pretty good plan here about who teams are in terms of identity right now, but we love to hear from you. What are the games that you are in week 9? Drop your comments below. The early value, the picks you love the most. Is it Tampa? Is it the Rams, like where I am for this one? Let us know. Drop your comments below. Subscribe to the channel and also ring the bell till it goes ding for notifications. That'll do it for us, but the story of the game goes on. For Andrew Erickson, I'm Joey P. We'll see you next time, kids.